What's up, guys? I'm Anthony Tocha, joined as always by the hall monitor, Eric Ruby. We've got Captain Redbeard behind the Mac. He is pushing all the buttons, making all the magic happen. Welcome back to another edition of our Big 12 Power Rankings, a busy and big week of non-con play right before the start of conference play opens in the Big 12. Eric, enough talk. Let's get straight into your Big 12 Power Rankings this week.
Lots of movement. Except for the top. Utah stays at number 1. Kansas State moves up a spot to 2. Oklahoma State drops a spot to 3. That's more to do with it has more to do with Kansas State than it does with Oklahoma State. UCF moving up 2 spots to 4. Iowa State moving up 2 spots to 5. Arizona State moving up 2 spots to 6. TCU, really good game with UCF, even though they didn't come away with the win. One of the better performances from a Big 12 team this past weekend, moving up 3 for me. Arizona drops down 3 to 8. Colorado moves up 2 to 9. BYU moves up 4 to 10. They're undefeated on the season. Baylor up 1 to 11. Kansas, yikes. Dropping 8 down to 12. Texas Tech stays the same. Beating North Texas does not move me. They're at 13. West Virginia, back-to-back weeks, back-to-back blown leads at the end of the game. They drop 5 down to 14, and then I keep it the same at 15 and 16 as I did last week. Cincinnati, Houston.
Biggest surprise for you after last week?
It has to be Kansas.
Yeah.
It has to be
leading
Kansas.
in that game, too.
Leading in that game. UNLV's not like nothing to sneeze at, but Kansas should have won that game.
Yeah, easily.
They should be a lot better than how they look.
Yeah, no,
right
100%. 100%. Look, some things on your power rankings I agree with, and some I don't. So let's go ahead. Let's get into my Big 12 power rankings this week. Kansas State takes the top spot, having a ranked win over a top 20 opponent. Means something. They absolutely dominated the Kitties in Tucson, really from start to finish. Avery Johnson looks like an absolute problem. Whether he plays running back or quarterback, it doesn't really matter. Kansas State, they're getting it done. Utah drops 1 spot. They trailed Utah State for a decent chunk of that game. They ended up winning, but clearly, if Cam Rising is not playing for Utah, they are not the best team in this conference. Oklahoma State, they move up 2 spots to number 3. The Cowboys continue to just cruise on. Allen Bowman, nearly 400 passing yards and 5 touchdowns in their big win over Tulsa. They are number 3. Iowa State, they didn't play last week, so they drop a spot. UCF, they get a jump. TCU was leading for a good chunk of that game. UCF, RJ Harvey managed to storm back, get it done. RJ Harvey, nearly 30 carries, $180 on the ground. UCF, 5th best team in this conference. Arizona State, they move up to 6. We are smelling the top 5. All they got to do, they got to beat Texas Tech this week. Should be an interesting one. BYU, they jump 3 spots. They continue to take care of business. Big 20-point victory over the Wyoming Cowboys. Arizona State knows a thing about that. Colorado, I hate to do it, but they jump up 5 spots. There was really no doubts in this one against Colorado State. Colorado State just couldn't hang. Shedeur threw 4 tutties. Baylor up 2 spots. I love myself some DeQuan Finn, man. I just love it. Texas Tech, they move up 4 spots. I know it was North Texas, but a 60 burger is a 60 burger. I will take it. Arizona, they drop 3 spots. They look horrible. They need to figure it out. It's almost like we've been saying that Brent Brennan every year serves up his fan base as 7-5. And guess what, Wildcat fans? You are trending in that direction. Kansas, though, they're the big losers this week. They drop 8 spots in my rankings as well. They were leading against UNLV for a good chunk. Jalon Daniels proved he's really talented. Their running back room is really, really nice, but they continue to find ways to lose games as opposed to finding ways to put them away. TCU, they drop a spot simply because they were up so much on UCF, and then they just kind of faltered at the end there. I still don't think TCU is a very good team. West Virginia, I also have them in that 14 spot. Team just can't figure it out. Each week passes. Each week makes last year look like a fluke. Cincinnati, you stay put at 15. In Houston, still at 16. You stink. Guys, let us know in the comments if you think that either Utah is the top team in this conference or is it Kansas State. We will get out of here in just a second. Who can move up the most this week?
Who can move up the most? Well, it depends on whose rankings you're talking about, because it could be TCU according to your rankings.
Yeah, I don't like TCU.
No, you don't like TCU at all. I disagree with your placement of them.
I mean, that's fine.
I see where you're coming from. who can move up the most?
I'm going to say Oklahoma State.
Oh, okay. Who does Kansas play this week?
Kansas, I believe, has a bye. No, Kansas has West Virginia this week.
They can't move up a ton.
They can lose a lot. They can drop even further. They can drop even further. I think Oklahoma State's big one for me. They're at home against Utah. That is a massive, massive game for this conference, whether Cam Rising is playing or not. Oklahoma State wins that game. They take the top spot in this conference. And it's really just going to be up to whoever can beat them to knock them off. I think the Cowboys.
Yeah. That's a good one. Obviously, playing the best opponent of the week. Playing what I have is still the top team in the Big 12. Kansas State's really close, really, really, really close to Utah. But yeah, Oklahoma State's a good one. If they win, Kansas State doesn't have a great showing, they'll be number one in next week's power ranking. You can book it.
Absolutely. Guys, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well, and we will see you guys next week for another edition of the Big 12 Power Rankings.
We all silly like the mayor.